Hello.
Hi.
Are you Nzingha?
Yes.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Oh, there we
Are you
go.
good?
Yep.
Alright. Are you going to Liron Avenue?
Yes.
Liron?
I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, right?
I've only heard one other person pronounce it, and she called it Liron.
Liron?
Yeah.
Liron. Yeah, I guess.
I don't.
So, Nzingha, do I have your permission to record a ride for my YouTube channel?
Well,
Or
what
do
am I
you-
going to be doing on the YouTube channel?
So what I do is I record conversations with my passengers, and then like I publish some of them on YouTube.
You can.
And so,
That'll be fun.
is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Then that's my YouTube channel.
Okay.
You can check out your
that's
video
so
later.
cool.
Although no promises, because like I have several recordings a day, and then I only can publish one or two in the end, so I have to make a choice.
Gotcha.
And if you have phone calls to make, please feel free, of course, right? Because I just cut those out.
I got you.
Yeah. But can I ask, so you work over there at
Yes.
the school? You're a teacher?
I'm a mental health professional.
You are a
Mental health professional?
mental health professional
Yes.
at a school. So mental health, like a psychologist?
No.
No.
So psychologists can do mental health, but usually in a school setting, the psychologist deals with the testing, like if a student is special needs or something like that.
Okay.
So the mental health professional, if they are experiencing like anxiety or something to do with maybe anger management or whatever, but it's usually the kids that we're looking to make sure that they're safe. If we can, if students that are struggling emotionally or with some kind of trauma are identified early on, we try to see how much we can help. One, to provide services, but then two, to preclude anything else from happening. So the brief history is schools in Florida have always had school social workers.
Okay.
And I was a school social worker before, but the majority of that is focused on attendance and things of that nature. And then with the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting, there was a safety report that came out after that. It was many pages, and it looked at what we knew ahead of time. Were there any red flags? And then the physical aspect of, what the building was like, where they went. Like it looked at everything. And so the state of Florida decided that it was going to allocate funds specifically to address mental health in
Because
schools
that
in Florida.
shooter had a mental health issue that was known or was not addressed.
Yes, and because there's so many things that can negatively impact a student's mental health. So like the bullying thing, like many people grow up and say, oh, that's kid behavior, kids pick on kids. That's true to a degree, but I mean, without knowing the extent of how that child is impacted by it or how much, how long it happened, what all it involved, so they just decided that there was just too many similarities, too many contributing factors that lended itself toward students acting out or students just not having the ability to cope with certain things. So they said, let's make sure that we have either they can access services on campus and or in the community. So the good thing about such a bad tragedy is that it fortified relationships that were already in the community, that were already available and assisting students. But then it also, the idea was that there would be wraparound services. So if a student is at school, they have access to either myself or a member of the mental health team or community resources that will come on campus, or they can see, we could give them referrals, or they can access referrals outside of campus. So that way, they have access to resources both ways.
I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah.
It is really nice. It is also, I never thought about shootings related to mental health counseling, but that makes so much sense. Now that you've mentioned that in one sentence, basically, I realized that, of course, many of these shootings happen out of anger or happen out of issues that may have been well detected at school already, either by classmates or teachers or whatever the environment is, where somebody like you could have had a relationship with such a person and either prevent something like that from happening, or maybe alarm the authorities, like, hey, this is really serious, where you go one step further than the next step. But not just the shootings, right? Because the shootings is an extreme case.
Right.
But this is from like perfect peace and happiness to everything, to everything in between, right?
And the nice part about it too is that students that probably would not even be on that spectrum of a school shooter, now if they have other things like other traumas or whatever, now that there's a pronounced presence, now they get that. Like, think about it, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting took place, and then the state of Florida was like, well, we need to really look at this. And so from that came the mental health assistance allotment plan. So that's basically how we report and how we qualify having mental health professionals in the school. But that happened, and then COVID happened, and then something else happened, and then Ian happened. So we have students that have had compounded auxiliary traumas, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe their loved one died, and with the whole COVID thing, and maybe they were with mom and dad, and maybe the breadwinner died, and so now they may be living with other family members, so there's that. And then as recent as Ian, like, there's still students who are displaced or living in temporary like housing situations because they lost everything, right? And then you have to come to school and sit still and listen to the teacher. Yeah.
Wow, you said it perfectly. How difficult is that, especially at those ages, because that's a middle school. And wow.
I mean, I remember when my mother died in 2017, and she had health issues. We weren't expecting her to die when she died, but she had some what do you call them? Not terminal, chronic. She had some chronic health issues, and they were starting to act up. And it took me a minute to get myself together. Like, I went back to work, and my boss was like, "Go ahead and go back home, because you're here, but you're not here." Right. And that's an adult that had 4 serious chronic issues, and I'm an adult, and I'm trying to process that. Now you think about an elementary school or a middle school or a high schooler. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry about your mom.
Thank
especially
you.
because it was unexpected. And may she rest in peace.
Thank you.
These are difficult things to handle. Like, I would argue maybe that we can sometimes learn from children.
Absolutely.
How they handle certain situations.
Absolutely.
As we can learn a lot from kids always, with a lot of things. But definitely there's also that children need help and need a helping hand, and the comfort and protection and things like that. But wow, well, thank you for your service, because the only thing though is that name's now I need to find a nice word. The name of mental health provider, or how did you say again? Mental health
professional. Yeah, that's our title.
Yeah, but so when the child go see you, of course they probably know your name, right? So they say, go see Miss
Miss Gaines is my last name.
Gain.
Gaines.
Gaines.
That's the easy one.
I was gonna see somebody looking at you.
You're like, I can't say that.
Yeah. Well, that's such a beautiful name, though, Nzingha. Where do you get that from?
My dad named me after one of the queens of Angola.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have a weight on your shoulders.
I do.
The beautiful one.
I do. Thank you.
No, that's not a good way of saying it. How do you say that? But it's like, you have somebody to live up to. No?
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this queen, is that a real living queen, or is this a story?
She was no, she was real. She the late 1400s in Angola.
Okay.
So that's like central southern Africa. Yeah.
And so your father is Angolan?
No.
But he just loved the story.
He did.
He thought my daughter is going to be a queen, or she is a queen.
He said he wanted me to have a name that had meaning, a strong name with meaning, so that's what he did.
There you go. Nzingha. Zing means sing in my country.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm from the Netherlands, and zinging is singing. You sing?
So, I like to sing. Whether I can sing or not, that's a whole other story.
I just like my wife.
That's another story
When
entirely.
she sings, I know that she's happy, but she has the most beautiful voice.
Aww.
She really does. And I always tickle her, like, go like just a couple of hours singing classes. Let's see, maybe you'd like to go to a choir or in church or whatever.
Right.
But she's too shy.
Aww.
So I'm the only one, well, and the kids, enjoying her beautiful voice, and the family. So that's
you don't record her with this microphone and the camera and stuff?
Oh, I should do that, right? I should secretly record her one day.
Because then you're going to be like, there's that one lady I talked to that ruined my marriage. I should have listened to her. No, don't do that.
But then send it off to a choir and say, hey, you guys want to hire my wife? No, it doesn't work like that. But yeah, beautiful name. And then a very American name, Gaines.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And so, but how does that work? So the teacher, I suppose, notices certain behaviors first and then sends the child straight to you, or you first go talk to the teacher, or
so it can happen
to the parents, or?
In many ways. A parent can say, hey, I notice this, or our family is struggling with whatever. They may tell the teacher.
Parents can come straight to you.
Well, they can let us know. Yeah, and we can help them with services in the community. But parents can identify that their child is struggling with something, and they would like them to speak with someone at school. Yeah. So for me, for the mental health professionals, we have to have consent from the parents.
Sure.
There are other the way the mental health.
Oh, okay. So a teacher cannot just send a child from like a child that has an anger problem like straight to you.
No.
The parents need to
if
be
there's a crisis, I can intervene in a crisis. But after I do, if there's no consent for me to speak with the child, then I have to call the parent and say, hey, we had a little something, and I was able to talk to your child, blah, blah, blah. But that's where the school counselors come into play, because there are some services that are school-based that they're able to access without me. So a lot of times when I'm meeting with the student, either a parent has said to the school counselor or someone, I really want blah, blah, blah. And then they get the consents, they sign the consents, and I get them back, and then I can meet with their child.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a good thing that you're there. Yeah. Thank you for your services. And I was honestly not even aware that there was such professionalism happening at a school. We've been traveling all over the world. We lived in Mexico and Haiti, in the Netherlands, in my country, and I've never heard of such a profession at a school location itself. There's always counseling available in your town or in the world, but at the school itself, I haven't heard that. and that this came out of the realization from a shooting. Yeah, like you said, we can learn something good from shooting.
Absolutely.
And
put things in place.
Yeah.
But
Because those shootings are horrific. Yeah.
So we have to operate within the Marjory Stoneman Douglas is his whole name, something Act, and then the Parents' Bill of Rights. So I have to operate within that, where that's where the consents and stuff come into place. But then the Florida Department of Education and all the statutes kind of make sure that the idea is that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, and as much as possible, not missing any signs. So it's a collaborative effort. So it's not just me.
To prevent that from happening,
Yeah, and it's the school counselors and the school social worker, the school nurse. Everybody else, but that's the school psychologist. I just want to say psychiatrist, and that's not it. Yeah.
So you must be sort of upset though with the new laws, the gun laws in Florida. Well, maybe not upset, but didn't they just loosen up the gun laws in Florida, where you now can carry without a permit?
I have to look and see, because I remember there was some back and forth, and my head started to hurt, so I was like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, but
I don't know exactly.
The situation with guns, period, is disconcerting, no matter what side of the fence you're on, because it's.
No, I agree. You can still allow guns for self-protection, but not have it so widely and easily available to kids and people and just whomever. It should be way more regulated, I think, and better registered and all of these things. And it should be hard to get a gun permit, not impossible.
Right.
But it should. It doesn't hurt to have a couple of checkups with a psychiatrist or professional counseling before you do get a permit. Not everybody should just be able to buy these things. No, that's my defense. But
and then on the flip side of that, if you make the wrong person mad, that's the other side. People are saying that how do you regulate the regulators, and to where people are earmarked to not be safe to have a gun when it's petulance, right? I don't know how many people we have to see die before we figure out a reasonable, rational way to handle it. I don't know what it's going to take for.
Yeah, me neither. America's rather unique in this situation where you have it as a right in the Second Amendment. So you cannot take it away from the people. And I also think that should not be the goal, to take it away. You do have a right to self-defense, but it needs to be in such a form that it doesn't so easily explode, where somebody's angry at a certain group and grabs a gun and goes shoot.
Exactly. I agree.
Wow, this has been enlightening. Yeah, and very heartwarming that the results of these shootings are people like you, who then also where I realized that it's much more than just the shootings that you're there for. Because like you said, like in Florida, after all these traumas that people went through, you summed it up really nicely, Ian, and
the COVID and.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but you're so right, that displaces families when the breadwinner, so to speak, suddenly dies from such a disease, right?
And then you have people that, I was watching the commercial, and it was fascinating because it was Michael Phelps, Pink, the artist, and I can't think of the other lady, was it Candace Bergman? Anyway, it was like 5 well-known like celebrities, athletes, artists, whatever. Okay. And they said it was about COVID, and then basically one had asthma, one had depression, one battled with weight, and there was 2 other things I never would have thought of. And they said, you know, this puts us at a different risk for COVID. And I was like, wow. So you think that, you know, somebody has pretty okay health, that doesn't get sick a lot, and they're a little younger, like younger in the sense of maybe 30, late 20s, 30, headed toward 40, and if they haven't been like groomed or understand not just health insurance but like life insurance and all those things, and then something happens, it's not just that the person that brings in the income or the majority of the income is gone, it's also what's left after that. And it's it's hard because you tell like you tell young people that are adults, make sure you have your advanced directives, and make sure you have a will, and make sure you have, you know, even if it's not so much a will, as long as you know who's going to make decisions in the event. And people always think nursing home or when I get of age, but you could be incapacitated in a car accident.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, what are we doing? Yeah. So we have...
That's a good point.
Yeah, so our kids are living everyday life, which includes accidents and, you know, illnesses and death and family members and all that. And then it's compounded with, most recently, Ian, and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, you have a tough job. I'm sort of grateful for you being there, because I don't have to do it. Let me just be a driver. And I'll just take you from A to B. That's my service. But no, I couldn't do what you do, because that takes mental strength. Often I drive nurses and they need stomach strength, but you need a strong heart, and that I don't know how you do that.
Well, I will say
God
this:
for people like you.
Most professional athletes have a professional coach. So if people that are like on the front lines or that stand in the gap for people in crisis, they have to have their go-to as well.
Yeah.
So
you have a coach?
No, yeah. I have. I have a therapist that I see just to keep me on my toes, and I have supervision for the services that I provide. But then I do yoga, I meditate, I try to stay active. Yeah, you have to. You hear all that stuff, and you have to purge. Especially if you have like families and loved ones, or your own stuff that you're dealing with. Because there's a lot of people that were at work, mental health professionals, I know for sure, and a lot of the teachers, they're at work. They lost everything too. Yeah. So it's like,
it's not just the kids.
Yeah, like, how do I come to work and my kids are going through changes and I'm going through changes? Yeah, so that's why I like that it's a collaborative effort, because it's not just we're all on the same team. We look out for each other as well.
Right.
What kind of
that's why you do need community, because you cannot get through those things alone.
We can't teach our kids to be what it means to be human if we're acting as if we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Usually I have these easygoing little conversations in the car.
Oh.
He comes
not this
Nzingha.
time.
Yeah. Mrs. Gray. No, Gaines. Mrs. Gaines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it's just so interesting and encouraging as well that these things are happening at schools, you know.
Yeah, I'm excited that we have it.
Yeah, I had several people crying in the car because they lost everything, and talk regularly to people that,
Yeah.
lost people with COVID and things like that. And what I learned in the Uber is that COVID is a really weird disease.
It is, and then if it mutates
grabbed
or
us.
changes, then
Yeah.
it's now you're dealing with. It's crazy.
In really unexpected moments and unexpected ways.
Now, I don't know how to get in. So I can get out at that.
Gate?
Yeah, I can get out at the gate.
Wait, is that with the person?
No.
You want me
So
to? I can just try to follow this car. Is that possible? Let me see how that goes. No tailgating.
Yeah, no. I can get. I can
No,
get
wait.
out the stop sign.
Can I do it?
Yeah, because I don't have my thing yet. My little pass thing.
No, the tailgating is going to be difficult, yeah, with this one, because of the bump first. So I can just talk to this person here. There's a person in that
No,
thing.
it's electronic.
No, this will talk to me.
Yeah, that will.
Yeah, and then I can just say that I'm dropping off a visitor. No.
Yeah, I don't know if our information